Hello, everybody, and welcome to another short episode of the Ocean of Observations with me, Dr. Amit Punjabi, the founder, director, and COO of Sankalp Academy, and of course, the chief observation officers to many other organizations and people. So, once again, I would like to start the episode by thanking all of you who've been following the show, thanking all of you who've actually been sharing comments, sending emails and inquiries, giving us valuable feedback, giving us topics, suggesting topics for us to cover. So yeah, thank you once again for that. And again, a very special episode because this episode is being recorded in the Nilgiris, a second home to me. For people who watched another episode that I've done from the Nilgiris, you know how Nilgiris is, how close Nilgiris is to my heart. And this episode is particularly even more special because we are in the Nilgiris for a program which is going extremely well, which is why I'm even more excited to do this episode for you guys. So, for the people who are watching this for the very first time, the Ocean of Observations is a show where I share observations which are from different aspects of psychology, philosophy, semantics, and experiential learning. These are observations that have already brought in a lot of positive transformation for a lot of individuals, for a lot of organizations, as well as groups. So that's what the show is all about. And as you may have read on the previous Facebook post, today's episode is about what versus who. Make sure to click on like, make sure to share this video, and make sure to tag a friend who you know would take back a lot from this. So I've learned a lot about the topic that I'm actually going to be covering today. Over the last couple of months, especially, it's been an amazing learning. So I've come across a lot of people, a lot of startups, a lot of investors, especially. So this is more related to that, what I've understood from investors and startups. So I've come across a lot of startups, a lot of people who have a great product. I mean, it's a great product to go to market. They've come up with a great idea. Maybe they've invented something. Maybe they've designed something new. Yes, but these people have some great product which can go to market. It just did not get funded, right? So what they did was great, but they were not able to find enough funding. People were not enough, people were not willing enough to invest in it. Correct. So this is where I wanted to understand about, even though a product is great, how come people don't get funded? Correct. And after a lot of discussions is when I realized that it's people who are actually getting funded. Okay, it's not necessarily the product all the time. It is more importantly the people that actually get funded. So I happen to actually get the opportunity to meet a few investors and listen to their side of the story and maybe understand their patterns, understand their context, understand where they are coming from. And that's where I understood the importance and the value of this topic that I'm covering: what versus who. So this will be a short episode, and I'm sorry this is not live because we are in the Nilgiris, so I can't really do a live show because of the network issues here. But we are recording this in the morning, and it is going to be up as usual at 7:30. Please do make sure to share your comments. I know it's not live, but watch it, comment on it, and if you have any questions, if you have any queries, please do feel free to send me an email, observations@sankalpacademy.in, or you can ping me on Instagram. It's Amit V Punjabi. The handle is Amit V Punjabi on Instagram. So coming back to the topic, the who versus what, or the what versus who. So a lot of people have great product. What you do might be the best. I mean, you might be doing it in the best way possible, but what you do is never as important as who you really are or who you are actually being. So I came across a lot of investors who have actually taken big risks, and I'm specifically talking about people who've taken big risks, right? These are not people who invested for the product. These people who took a risk, who were willing to take a risk, they're only willing to take a risk because of who the person is, who's presenting the product, who represents the product, who made the product, who's the face of the startup. They're only doing it for who he or she is. That is more important. Correct? It's not about whether what you do is feasible or investable or fundable. Are you investable? Is who you are investable? Because no work, no action, no process is bigger than who we are, is bigger than the character. And this is the truth about the startup world today, about the investing world today. And I'm so glad that I learned it, and I'm having this platform to share it with all of you. So yeah, it was very interesting. I'm sure you guys have heard this story in different ways from different people. Maybe you have friends who had an experience like this, have great products, didn't get funded. maybe you've been to events, maybe you watch it on TV shows, but you will see they want to invest in an investable person. The person needs to be investable. The person needs to be fundable. It's okay even if the product is not, because they know if the person is investable, the person will find a way to actually make a great product sooner or later. So there are many popular TV shows now, where startups come, pitch, entrepreneurs come, pitch for funding, and you will. I request you to please watch these shows. If you can't watch it on TV, at your free time, please at least watch it on YouTube, and you will realize there are so many people where they knew the product is really risky, the industry is really risky, and they have a but. They say, this is not really a great product for me to invest in, but I really want to work with you. I mean, that sentence gives away a lot, right? They want to work with me. That means I am investable. So if not this product, I can definitely get them on board for another product. Or guess what? I can work with them on creating a new product because they're willing to fund me because of me, even though the product is not great. I will end up making a product when people have that much faith in me, right? And it's great to take the chance, but you will get the opportunity to take the chance only if you focus on who you are. The problem with a lot of startups that didn't get funded even though the product was great is because they spend years on mastering what they do while they had no idea about who they became in the process. Correct? A lot of people with a great product, they walked into these meetings, they walked into the pitch not so confident. They were not being confident, they were being more desperate. Correct? They almost begged to get funded. So they were being desperate. So that's who they are is desperate for funding. They are not going to be fundable. They are not going to be investable, no matter how good is what they do. Right? So please remember, who you are is always bigger than what you do. While we are spending a lot of time on mastering what we really do, we want to be absolutely brilliant at what we do. It is important to actually spend some amount of that time on mastering who we are becoming, getting mentored, getting coached, reading the right books, correct? Really putting yourself in good state, being confident, being powerful, being a visionary, being, loyal to what you do maybe. So, like I said, a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs are not visionaries. Are they really investable? Are not futuristic. The product is great, but they're not futuristic. They're not visionaries. They're entrepreneurs, but they're not visionaries. So are they investable? So it's time for us to think like these investors now, or the people who fund us. Think about what do they see when they don't see a visionary. They see a product, but they don't see a visionary. And I'll tell you another side of this as well. A lot of people have got so frustrated. I'm talking about startups and entrepreneurs again. While the investors were not willing to fund them, and they said, but I like the product, I want to buy it from you. I'm sure it rings a bell. I'm sure you know enough people who've gone through this, or you've at least seen people go through this, even if you don't know them, on shows, on conferences, at events. Okay, you've seen this. There are so many investors, venture capitalists, who actually will look at the product and say, I love the product. How about I buy you out? How about I take this technology? How about I take this product? How about I take this investment? I'm buying it out. And yes, a lot of people end up realizing that this is a good way to go about it. This is a good choice. This is the right thing to do. I've made something and I know I can't take it forward. Let me rather just sell it. Okay, and then they'll go ahead and make another product, and maybe now they're going to make a product only for the product to be sold. They don't want to get funding. They want to sell what they made. Well, it's okay then. Good. If you're really going to focus on what you do, if you're only going to master what, then maybe this is a good way for you to go about. No, you make something and you sell it, but you are not going to be investable. Don't expect to actually have control over what you created, because who you are is not investable. All right. If you're not investable and the product is great, a good option for you would be to completely sell it off, and people will be ready to take the product, but not with you. Making sense? Easier said than done, because most startups that I came across who have gone through this, they were unhappy about not being associated with something that they created. All right. I met people who actually gave away rights. They sold major part of their business, or they rather sold the business completely, and it upset them. It really triggered negative emotions about them. I hate the fact that they don't want me to be associated with something that I created. How can I just sell it? And how, or some people after selling it, like, how could I do this? Or why did this happen? Why could they not see that I would be willing to go? I mean, I would be willing to go all the way to get this product to market and make it a huge success. Why couldn't they see it? Well, they couldn't see it because you never really worked on who you are, right? We only focused on mastering what we do. We are not thinking about who we are becoming in the process or who we really are. And that is what people actually invest in. Investors, venture capitalists, angel investors do not always invest in, especially if it involves a risk. When it involves a risk, they do not invest in a product. They do not invest in what you do. They do not fund what you do. They only invest in who you are. They only put faith in who you are, not really in what you do. I don't know how many of you have read this book, but it's one of my favorite books, one of the first books that I read. It's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, written by John Maxwell. Amazing leadership guru. So, if you haven't read it, do grab a copy. It's an amazing book to read, and it has a lot of good stories of leadership, right? And I remember picking the story from the book 21 Laws of Leadership. John Maxwell so talks about, the company Saatchi and Saatchi. It's an advertising firm. It's an advertising company. It's not a firm. It's actually a huge company. It's one of the best advertising companies in the globe. And there was a time where, the board wasn't really happy about Maurice Saatchi, the CEO of that time. He was charismatic, had everybody follow this guy, like for the true leader that this guy was. And I don't know, maybe he just didn't get along with the board. We don't know the details, but the story was mentioned in 21 Laws of Leadership in one of the chapters, where the board decided to let him go. The board decided that we don't want Maurice Saatchi as a CEO anymore. We are going to just let him go from this company. In other words, fire him from this company. The result of which, now this guy was a person who people looked up to as really a genuine leader. It didn't matter whether he had the position anymore or not. Alright? It didn't matter whether he's the CEO of the company or not anymore. It just what mattered was who he is. He wasn't the CEO anymore. They fired him. The result of which, their share values dropped this day they fired him. Two of their top companies. I don't remember because one of the first books that I read. But from what I am able to recollect, I think it was British Airways and Mars. Both were clients of Saatchi and Saatchi, and both of them withdrew their contract because Maurice Saatchi was not there to represent them anymore, right? And majority of the employees sent in their resignation on the same day because we don't want to work for the company anymore because Maurice Saatchi is not here. These guys were ready to quit their job to go after a person because of who he is. They didn't know how much salary they're going to get. They didn't know whether they're going to land another job the very next day or the next month or the next year. But they were just not fine with not being his follower anymore. He didn't have a job anymore. I mean, he wasn't the CEO anymore. Maybe he had another job. He wasn't the CEO anymore. He did not have the position anymore. What he did in this company was irrelevant. The only thing that was truly relevant was who he actually was. Right? So if you haven't read this book, please grab this book. It's an amazing book to read. And I hope John Maxwell sir sees this video. And I would be really lucky if John Maxwell sir sees this video. And thank you, sir. Your book really has helped me. I still continue to give a lot of examples from this book. Like I said, it was actually the first book that I completely read. So thank you so much for writing a brilliant book. And if you haven't read it, well, just go buy the book. Come on, read it. Right? You'll know a lot about these things from that book itself. So yeah. So remember, I'm saying a lot of shows because I'm too occupied. There's a lot going on, and I'm so excited. Again, so okay, guys. So thank you so much. This episode has been really fun for me to do because I am in a place that I love being in. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Make sure to share. Make sure to click on like. Make sure to comment and tag that friend who will take back a lot from this. And to conclude, I just want to reconfirm it with you. I just want to repeat this for you. Who you are is always going to be bigger than what you do. while we are spending time on mastering what we do, which is okay, we need to take out some time from that and also master who we are becoming, or rather who we are, because only then we are investable, we are fundable. All right, so thank you so much once again for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys very soon.